"I was never allowed to speak to your kind, but I never stopped loving you, human," said the alien. Lyra watched the stars from her observation deck, her long fingers tracing the patterns in the glass. The station was quiet, almost too quiet, except for the soft hum of the machinery beneath her feet. She had been assigned here for 3 cycles, and during that time she had never spoken to a human. In fact, her people had made it very clear. Humans were dangerous, unpredictable, and forbidden to be close to. But Lyra could not help herself. Every time she saw a human, she felt her chest tighten and her mind fill with questions she was not allowed to ask. On the human outpost below, Alex was busy in the central hub. He was small for a human, lean and unassuming, but his hands moved with precision as he repaired a broken conduit. Sparks flew, and he barely flinched. Lyra had watched him dozens of times from her observation post, hidden behind layers of glass and filters. She had learned his routine, how he started every day checking the systems, how he paused in the sunlit courtyard to breathe, how he laughed quietly to himself when a botched repair finally worked. She knew these things without ever having met him, and each time she watched, the feeling in her chest grew stronger. Her species believed that emotions toward humans were dangerous. The law said that any alien who fell in love with a human must report it immediately and undergo isolation. Lyra had never reported anything. She could not. Alex had no idea she existed, and she wanted to keep it that way. Sometimes she imagined herself walking down the narrow corridors of the human outpost, just being near him, hearing his voice, feeling the warmth of his presence. But those were only dreams, and she quickly pushed them aside. She could not afford to dream too long. One wrong move could destroy everything. One morning, the human outpost received a distress signal. Lyra saw it from her observation deck before anyone else. A small ship had lost power near the outer rings of the station, drifting toward a cluster of unstable asteroids. The humans below moved quickly, their alarms ringing, their movements coordinated yet chaotic. Lyra watched Alex as he gathered a repair kit, his brow furrowed, his eyes calm despite the danger. She wanted to shout a warning, to tell him to wait, to stay safe. But she did nothing. She was forbidden. She could only watch as the humans prepared to risk everything. Alex and a small team of humans left the hub, heading toward the stranded ship in their shuttle. Lyra followed them in her monitors, her heart racing. The shuttle wobbled as it passed through the asteroid field. She could see Alex gripping the controls, calculating every movement. The shuttle grazed a rock, sparks flying, and her chest tightened so sharply she almost gasped. She had never felt fear like this before. It was not for herself. It was for him. She realized then that her feelings were no longer just curiosity or admiration. They were something much deeper, something she could not name, something that her people would call dangerous. Hours passed as she watched the rescue. The humans worked together, shouting instructions, moving with a confidence that came from experience. Alex climbed into the disabled ship, checking systems, fixing circuits, his hands steady. Lyra could not stop staring. She wanted to touch him, to tell him it would be okay, but she knew that her voice could never reach him. She recorded every detail secretly, not for report or study, but because she wanted to remember. She wanted to remember how humans faced danger with courage, and how Alex moved among them as if he were born to protect. When the ship was finally secured and the humans returned safely to the outpost, Lyra felt a strange relief. She wanted to applaud, to cheer, but she only sat there, her eyes fixed on the monitors. Alex wiped sweat from his brow and laughed quietly, shaking his head at a minor mistake he had made. Lyra's chest ached. She realized she had been watching him for months, and she had never spoken a single word. Yet somehow, she felt closer to him than to any of her own kind. Lyra's work required her to catalog human behavior, but she went beyond that. She studied emotions, gestures, and expressions. She noted the way Alex's eyes softened when he helped a younger human with a task. She noted the way he frowned when he saw someone hurt. She noted the way his voice changed when he laughed. These were all small things, but to Lyra, they were everything. They were pieces of a puzzle that her people refused to understand. Humans were not violent. They were not dangerous in the way her species imagined. They were complicated, yes, but beautiful. They cared. They loved. And somehow she loved him too. The station commander, an older alien named Vacan, noticed her interest. "Lyra," he said one morning, his voice low and serious, "you spend too much time observing them. Your reports should be factual, not emotional." Lyra nodded, hiding the sudden tightness in her chest. She smiled faintly. "Yes, Commander," she said, careful to keep her tone neutral. Inside, her heart pounded. He did not know. No one could know. If he did, she would be taken away, isolated, maybe even punished. But she could not stop. She would not stop. Alex was worth any risk. Weeks passed, and the humans faced another challenge. A meteor shower threatened to destroy part of the outpost. Alarms blared and humans ran to secure equipment and shelters. Lyra observed everything, noting the coordination, the bravery, and the determination. Alex was in the center of it all, directing others, helping when needed, and taking risks to save even the smallest machines. Lyra wanted to warn him, to tell him to be careful, but she remained silent. Instead, she made detailed records of every action, every expression, every small act of courage. Late at night, when the station was quiet, Lyra replayed the recordings. She watched Alex laugh, watch over others, and quietly repair systems. She spoke to herself softly, in words no one would hear. "He does not know I exist," she whispered. "But I am here. I am watching. I am with him in some small way." She imagined herself beside him even though she could not be. She imagined his voice, his smile, the warmth of his presence. Her heart ached with longing, and yet she felt joy she had never known. She was alive in a way she had never been before. Her people often said that emotions toward humans were a weakness. That love, care, or attachment could cloud judgment. Lyra had thought she understood what they meant, but now she realized it was impossible to separate herself from her feelings. Alex was in her thoughts every moment. Even when she worked, ate, or slept, he was there. She had memorized every detail. The way his hair fell over his forehead, the way he straightened his posture when he focused, the small smile he gave when he solved a problem. She knew she would never be able to tell him. It was forbidden. It was impossible. And yet, the thought of him filled her with hope, even in the darkest times. One day, the station received news of a human fleet moving into nearby space. The humans were unaware that their actions might cause tension with her species. Lyra watched anxiously as Alex prepared for a diplomatic mission to meet the fleet. She worried for his safety. The humans did not understand the politics of the alien council, and one wrong move could end badly. She wanted to scream a warning, to reach through the void and touch him. But she could not. She only watched. She only prayed that his instincts, his courage, and his kindness would keep him safe. As the shuttle carrying Alex departed, Lyra felt an unfamiliar ache in her chest. The distance between them was small in space, but enormous in law and custom. She whispered to herself, "Please, stay safe. I cannot lose you." She knew that if she ever spoke to him, even accidentally, it would change everything. She knew that even looking at him directly could be considered a violation. And yet, she could not stop hoping that one day he might somehow know. Somehow, he might understand that she had always cared, even from afar. That night, Lyra stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars beyond the station. She imagined Alex walking under them, seeing the same constellations, feeling the same emptiness in the vastness of space. She imagined a small smile on his face, even as he faced danger. She imagined their hands brushing, a moment never meant to happen, but cherished in her mind. And as she watched, she realized something undeniable. She had never stopped loving him. She had never been allowed to speak to him, to touch him, or even acknowledge him directly. And yet, that did not matter. Her feelings were real. Her heart was real. And somehow, that was enough. For now. As the first part of the day ended, Lyra knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. Humans would make mistakes, face danger, and show courage, and she would be there, unseen, silent, loving. It was a quiet kind of devotion, dangerous in its own right, but powerful beyond measure. She smiled faintly, knowing that even if she could not speak to Alex, even if the law forbade it, her love had already crossed the boundaries her species had set. It had already found him. And that was the beginning of something neither of them could yet understand. A bond that would shape both of their fates in ways she could not yet imagine. The morning came with a soft glow over the outpost. The stars beyond the station were quiet, but Lyra knew that danger often arrived without warning. She had watched humans long enough to know that even their smallest tasks could turn into life or death situations. Today her attention was drawn to Alex, who was walking through the maintenance corridors with a datapad in his hands. He was checking energy outputs for the habitat modules, moving carefully yet confidently. Lyra followed him silently through the monitors, noting every step, every glance he took. She wanted to call out, to warn him of small dangers she could see before he did, but she remained silent. The law forbade it, and yet her mind screamed that she should act. As she watched, a warning light flashed on one of the screens. A small meteor fragment had broken through the outer shields of the station. It was tiny, barely noticeable to an untrained eye, but Lyra could see the trajectory. It was heading straight for the energy conduits Alex was inspecting. Her chest tightened. She wanted to scream, to alert him, but she stayed quiet. She could only hope he would notice it himself. And then she saw it, a spark of awareness in his eyes as he glanced up. He moved quickly, stepping aside just as the fragment smashed into the metal near his feet. Lyra exhaled in relief, her hands pressed against the glass of her observation deck as if she could reach through and touch him. She realized she could no longer separate her feelings from her concern for his safety. Every small risk, every tiny action, made her heart pound faster than she had ever known. The humans below quickly assessed the damage. Minor fires had erupted near the conduit, and several systems began to fail. Alex immediately called out instructions, his voice calm and steady. Patch the conduits, check the air filters, and contain the fires. I'll handle the energy reroute. The other humans nodded, following his lead. Lyra admired the way he worked. He did not panic, he did not hesitate, and yet he was not reckless. Every movement was precise, every decision measured. She noted how his teammates trusted him completely, how they moved in unison with his commands. It was a form of leadership she had never seen in her own species. Humans, she realized, could be brave without being arrogant. They could care without weakness, and somehow, she had come to care for him more than anyone else she had ever known. As Alex climbed the conduit to reroute the energy, a second meteor fragment broke through the outer shields. It was larger this time, and Lyra could see the panic in some of the humans below. Alex froze for a split second, calculating the path of the fragment, then sprang into action. He adjusted the conduit panels, redirected energy flows, and managed to absorb the impact with minimal damage. Sparks flew, and the metal groaned under the strain. But Alex remained steady. Lyra's chest ached as she watched him. She could feel every risk he took, as if it were her own body in danger. She realized then that her feelings had grown from admiration to something far deeper. She loved him, utterly and completely, though he had never spoken a word to her, and she had never spoken to him. After the danger passed, Alex climbed down, breathing heavily, but smiling faintly. "Good work, everyone," he said. "We'll need to reinforce the shields and double-check all conduits, but we handled it." The humans around him smiled, some laughing nervously, some shaking their heads at the near disaster. Lyra recorded every moment, not just for her work but for herself. She wanted to remember his bravery, his calm under pressure, his humanity. She wanted to remember him as he was in this moment, alive, strong, and kind. She realized that she would never forget him, no matter what her people demanded. The station commander, Vacan, noticed her again that day. "Lyra, your reports focus too much on one human," he said, his tone sharp. "We need statistics patterns, not personal feelings." Lyra nodded, hiding the tightness in her chest. "Yes, Commander," she replied. Inside, she felt a flash of anger and frustration. How could he not see what she saw? These humans, especially Alex, were extraordinary. They faced danger with courage and compassion, and yet her people treated them like threats. She knew she must hide her feelings, but she also knew she could not stop watching, could not stop caring. Alex had become more than just an observation. He was a part of her life, even if she could not touch it, even if she could not speak. That evening, a communication alert came through from the human fleet nearby. They were requesting additional supplies and coordination for their exploration mission. Alex volunteered immediately, offering to guide the fleet through the dangerous asteroid field near the station. Lyra watched as he prepared his equipment, his movements calm and practiced. She could see the determination in his eyes. He was willing to risk himself again, not for glory, but for others. And once more, she felt her heart tighten with a mixture of pride and fear. She wished she could tell him to be careful, to stay safe, to come back to her. But she remained silent. She could only watch in hope. As Alex's shuttle departed, Lyra felt an emptiness she had never known. The distance between them was small in space, but enormous in law and custom. She imagined his hands on the controls, his eyes scanning the stars, his mind solving problems even as danger approached. She imagined the small smile he gave when he found a solution, the way he reassured others around him, and she imagined herself beside him, though she could not be. She whispered softly to herself, "Please come back. Please stay safe." No one could hear her, and yet the words felt necessary, as if speaking them into the void might give her some comfort. Hours passed, and Lyra's monitor showed the shuttle entering the asteroid field. The sensors detected small impacts, minor damage, but nothing catastrophic. She watched in agony as Alex navigated the treacherous path, his hands steady, his mind sharp. A sudden burst of energy from the shuttle's engines illuminated the rocks around them, revealing a massive asteroid drifting into their path. Lyra's eyes widened. She could see the collision course clearly. She wanted to shout, to intervene, to warn him of the danger. She could see, clearly, but she did nothing. She could only hope his instincts would guide him. She watched, breath held, as he made the split-second decision to veer the shuttle, narrowly missing the asteroid. The relief that washed over her was so strong that she nearly sank to the floor. She had never felt anything like this before. The fear, the tension, the hope, the love, it all mixed together into something overwhelming. When Alex returned safely to the outpost, he was greeted by his team. They cheered, laughed, and praised one another for their quick thinking. Alex smiled, but Lyra noticed a small flicker of exhaustion in his eyes. He had pushed himself to the limit, faced danger head-on, and still maintained his composure. She wanted to run to him, to embrace him, to tell him how brave and extraordinary he was, but she remained hidden, silent. Her love was forbidden, and yet it was stronger than any law, stronger than any fear. She realized that her life had changed the moment she began watching him. She was no longer just an observer. She was part of a story that had already begun, a story in which Alex was the center, and she could not let him go. The next day, Lyra continued her work, but could not focus. Her thoughts kept returning to Alex, to his bravery, to the way he faced danger without hesitation. She watched him move through the outpost, interacting with others, laughing softly, helping those in need. Every detail mattered to her. The tilt of his head when he concentrated, the small shrug of his shoulders when he solved a problem, the warmth in his eyes when he smiled. She recorded everything, secretly, carefully, preserving every moment as if it were a treasure. She knew her feelings were dangerous, forbidden, and possibly punishable. Yet she could not stop. She did not want to stop. Alex had become the reason she breathed, the reason she endured the long hours of silent observation, the reason she risked her own safety, simply by caring. That evening a new threat appeared on the monitors. A rogue fleet from a hostile alien species had entered nearby space, approaching the human outpost. Alarms sounded, and Lyra's stomach tightened. She could see Alex preparing to defend his people. He was calm, focused, and determined, but she could sense the tension even through her monitors. She wanted to reach out, to warn him of what she saw, to help him avoid unnecessary danger. But she remained silent, knowing that any interference could bring disaster for herself and for him. She only watched, heart pounding, praying that he would succeed, praying that he would survive. The fleet arrived, and chaos erupted. Human defenses were tested, systems failed, alarms blared. Lyra watched Alex move among the humans, giving instructions, helping repair damaged equipment, and personally leading efforts to protect civilians. She felt her chest tighten with every risk he took. She realized then that her love for him was not passive. It was active, dangerous, consuming. She wanted to protect him, to shield him from harm, to be near him in ways she could not be. And yet, she was forbidden. All she could do was watch, record, and hope. After the attack, the humans assessed the damage. Minor injuries, equipment loss, but no deaths. Alex moved quietly among the survivors, helping where he could, smiling faintly to reassure them. Lyra felt an ache in her chest, both from relief and from longing. She had watched him face death and danger, and he had survived. She realized then that her feelings had grown beyond admiration, beyond longing. She loved him utterly and completely, even if she could never tell him, even if she could never touch him. Her love had become a quiet, powerful force that she carried with her in every thought, every breath, every moment of her life. As night fell over the outpost, Lyra remained at her observation deck, staring at the stars. She imagined Alex resting, perhaps thinking of her, perhaps unaware of her existence. She whispered softly into the quiet, "I have always cared for you. I have never stopped." No one could hear her, and yet speaking the words gave her a small comfort. She knew that the days ahead would bring more danger, more challenges, and more opportunities for courage. And she also knew that she would continue to watch him, to love him, silently, even when the universe demanded otherwise. She realized that the connection she felt with Alex was more than forbidden curiosity. It was a bond, invisible and unspoken, yet stronger than anything her people had ever warned against. She knew it could not last forever, not if the law discovered it. And yet she could not turn away. Every heartbeat, every spark of life in him, every act of bravery filled her with a sense of purpose she had never known. She had fallen completely, hopelessly, irrevocably in love with a human she could never speak to, and that love had already begun to change her life in ways she could not yet imagine. The morning light spread slowly over the human outpost. Lyra was already awake in her observation deck, her eyes scanning every monitor, every corridor, every shuttle. The rogue fleet that had attacked yesterday was still nearby, hidden beyond the asteroid field, and sensors picked up movement. The humans were preparing for another possible strike, unaware that the danger was close, but Lyra could see it clearly. Her chest tightened. She had never felt such a heavy weight before. She wanted to warn them, to tell Alex to stop, to protect himself, but she knew that speaking directly was forbidden. Her heart ached at the thought of danger coming to him again. Alex was walking through the central hub, checking systems and giving instructions, calm and confident as always. Lyra watched him, noting every movement, every glance, every decision he made. She had seen humans face danger before, but this felt different. The fleet was larger than anything the humans had faced. Even the humans did not know its full strength. Lyra could see the trajectory of the enemy ships, the patterns of attack they were planning, and she realized with horror that the humans would not survive without help. She tried to reason with herself. She could not interfere. If she did, she would be punished severely. Her people would call it treason. But as she watched Alex laughing quietly with a teammate, giving orders, helping others, she felt something she could not ignore. She loved him more than anything, and love, she realized, was stronger than fear. She could not sit and watch him die when she had the knowledge to help him. With a shaking hand, she reached for the communication controls, knowing this was her first real step toward breaking every rule she had ever followed. She paused. Her mind raced. One wrong move, one sound, and she would be discovered. One wrong move, and she might never see him again. But the thought of him in danger, unaware, trusting the universe that she could not allow herself to intervene, pushed her forward. She activated a hidden frequency, sending a warning to Alex's shuttle systems. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable. A slight adjustment in his navigation alerts. He would notice it only if he was careful, and Alex was always careful. Alex's eyes flicked to the monitor in his shuttle. He paused, adjusting the course slightly. His hands moved with precision, dodging small meteors and debris that could have destroyed the shuttle. Lyra exhaled slowly, her heart pounding. She had done it. She had warned him without speaking, and it felt like the most dangerous and wonderful thing she had ever done in her life. She knew she had broken the law, and she knew the consequences could be severe, but she also knew that if she had done nothing, Alex might not have survived. The enemy fleet began its attack sooner than expected. The humans scrambled, firing their defenses, trying to protect the outpost and the shuttles in the air. Lyra watched the battle unfold, her eyes glued to the monitors. She could see Alex moving with the humans, guiding them, helping repair systems and giving instructions. She felt a mixture of pride and fear. He was brave, courageous, and strong, but he was still human. He was still vulnerable. She wanted to be there, to take some of the risk for him, but she remained in her hidden observation deck, her presence unseen but her actions influencing events. A missile from the enemy fleet targeted the shuttle Alex was in. It moved quickly, and even a small delay could have destroyed the craft. Lyra acted again, subtly adjusting the trajectory of the shuttle through the hidden interface. The missile missed by mere meters. Alex did not notice the assistance, only that his instincts had guided him just in time. Lyra's chest ached with relief. She realized then that her love had transformed into action. She was no longer just an observer. She was a protector, even if unseen. As the battle raged on, Lyra's fear intensified. More enemy ships arrived, stronger and faster. The humans were outnumbered, and the outpost's shields were failing. Lyra calculated the trajectories, the weapon outputs, and the safest paths for the shuttles. She adjusted warnings, subtle signals, and minor course corrections. Each action risked discovery. But she could not stop. Alex's life, the lives of all humans, depended on her intervention. She realized then that love could demand courage beyond fear. She understood the weight of responsibility, the cost of action, and the risk of failure. But she also understood the value of life, the value of bravery, and the importance of protecting those you care for. In the control room of the human outpost, Alex was coordinating repairs and guiding shuttles to safety. He noticed unusual readings on the instruments, subtle corrections that seemed to appear as if the shuttle was avoiding danger on its own. He frowned, puzzled. How did the system know? He muttered to himself. He shrugged, deciding it must be a glitch, and focused on saving his team. He did not know that Lyra, hidden and silent, was guiding him, loving him, protecting him. The battle continued for hours. Lyra's heart raced with every near miss, every collision, every burst of enemy fire. She recorded every moment secretly, not for her people, but for herself. She needed to remember the courage, the bravery, and the humanity she had witnessed. She needed to remember Alex moving through danger without hesitation, helping others, risking his life, and never faltering in his commitment. She realized then that she had never felt such admiration, such love, or such fear in her life. Alex was everything she had ever wanted in a being: brave, kind, clever, and completely human. Finally, the enemy fleet began to retreat, damaged and confused. The humans cheered quietly, tending to their injured, repairing their equipment, and taking a moment to breathe. Alex climbed down from her shuttle, exhausted but smiling faintly. Lyra watched every detail, her heart aching with relief and love. She wanted to rush to him, to tell him that she had helped, that she had been there in some way, that she loved him. But she could not. She was still forbidden. She was still bound by laws she had already broken. And yet, in her heart, she knew that she had done the right thing. The station commander, Beckon, arrived at her observation deck. His expression was sharp, suspicious. "Lyra," he said, "I noticed unusual readings during the battle. Someone interfered with the human systems." "Explain yourself." Lyra felt her chest tighten. This was it, the moment of truth. If she was discovered, everything would be lost. She kept her face calm, her voice neutral. I only monitored," she said softly. "Perhaps a system glitch caused the adjustments." Vacan's eyes narrowed, and for a long moment, the silence was tense. Then he turned away. "Be careful," he said, his tone warning, and left. Lyra exhaled slowly, her hands trembling. She had survived. She had risked everything for Alex, and she had succeeded. That night, Lyra watched the humans celebrate quietly, tending to minor repairs, checking systems, and talking with one another. Alex was among them, helping wherever he could, smiling faintly at small jokes, moving with the same calm bravery she had always admired. Lyra's chest ached with longing. She wanted to be near him, to speak, to touch, to tell him that she had guided him through danger. But she remained hidden, silent, and forbidden, and yet she felt a new strength within herself. She had acted. She had broken the law. She had saved lives. And she had done it for love. She replayed the battle in her mind, noting every detail. Alex's calm hands, the way he guided others, the way he assessed danger, the small moments of humor he gave to ease fear. She noted how he never faltered, never panicked, never let fear rule his actions. She realized that she had fallen completely in love, not just with Alex as a human, but with his courage, his kindness, his cleverness, and his determination. It was action. It was sacrifice. It was courage in the face of impossible odds. And she had acted. She had loved him in the truest sense. The next morning, Lyra was restless. The humans were repairing damage, restoring systems, and preparing for normal life. But she could not focus. Her mind kept returning to Alex, to the battle, to the risks he had taken. She watched him quietly, noting his every movement, every glance, every interaction. She realized that she could not remain silent forever. One day, she would have to speak. One day, she would have to reveal herself. But that day was not today. Today, she would continue to protect, continue to love, continue to watch. She knew that the danger was not over. The rogue fleet might return. Other threats might appear, and Alex would always be in harm's way. And she would always be there, hidden and silent, loving him in ways no one could see. As she looked out at the stars, she whispered softly, "I am with you, Alex. Even if you cannot see me, even if no one else knows, I will protect you. I will love you always." And in that quiet declaration, Lyra felt a strange peace. She had risked everything, broken every rule, and yet she had done what she knew was right. She had acted for love, and that she realized was more powerful than any law, more powerful than any fear, more powerful than anything else in the galaxy. The morning arrived quietly, but Lyra's heart was anything but calm. The human outpost was repairing itself after the battle, and Alex moved among them, checking systems, helping repair damaged equipment, and encouraging his teammates. Lyra watched him, her chest tightening with every movement. She had helped him survive the last attack, broken her people's laws for his sake, and yet she remained invisible, silent, and forbidden from speaking. Alex, however, was beginning to notice something strange. The small adjustments in his shuttle during the previous battle had not gone unnoticed by him. Subtle warnings, perfect course corrections, a feeling that someone was guiding him, but there had been no one. He had shrugged it off as luck or intuition, but now he was unsure. As he walked through the corridors checking systems, he felt a strange sense that he was never truly alone. A quiet presence seemed to follow him, almost imperceptible, like a whisper in the back of his mind. He did not know what it was, but he could not shake the feeling that someone, or something, was watching over him. Lyra observed his uncertainty, her heart aching with longing and fear. She wanted to tell him the truth, to reveal herself, to let him know that she had guided him through danger. But she could not. Her people would punish her severely, and revealing herself could endanger him as well. She remained hidden, watching, recording, and helping in secret, knowing that every moment of his life was precious. The humans received another distress signal. This time, it came from a nearby mining colony under threat from rogue pirates. The fleet that had attacked the outpost yesterday was regrouping, and they intended to capture the miners. Alex volunteered to lead a small rescue team. Lyra's heart sank. She could not allow him to go into danger again, not without warning, not without help, but this time she realized that subtle guidance would not be enough. She would have to intervene directly. She watched Alex prepare his shuttle and noticed the careful way he checked every system, the calm determination in his eyes, the quiet smile he gave to his team as he reassured them. He had no idea that Lyra was about to risk everything for him again. She took a deep breath and activated a more direct interface, guiding his shuttle through the safest path toward the colony. This time the adjustments were larger, more noticeable. He knew she risked being discovered, but she could not allow him to be harmed. Every calculation, every move, every adjustment was made with precision, and for the first time she felt the full weight of responsibility. If anything went wrong, he could die, and she would be the cause. Alex noticed the unusual behavior of his shuttle. It responded to threats almost before he could react. He frowned, confusion and curiosity mixing on his face. "What is happening?" he muttered to himself. Glancing at the sensors, he could not see Lyra, but something was guiding him. Instinctively, he trusted it, though he did not know why. He followed the guidance, maneuvering through the dangers of the asteroid field and pirate attacks, dodging projectiles and damaged debris with precision. Lyra's heart pounded as she watched him move, knowing that each life she saved was a rebellion against her own people, but a necessary one. The pirates were aggressive, but Alex's team moved with courage and skill. Lyra guided them from her hidden observation deck, adjusting shields, rerouting power, and giving them the smallest edge that could mean survival. Alex noticed the edge, but did not understand it. He felt as if luck, or perhaps someone watching, was protecting him. He trusted it, relying on the subtle guidance that seemed almost supernatural. Lyra felt a surge of emotion. She had never felt so close to him, and yet so far away. She wanted to tell him the truth, to let him know she was there, but she could not. All she could do was act, silently and invisibly, risking everything for the human she loved. The battle with the pirates lasted hours. Lyra's nerves were stretched to the limit. She adjusted trajectories, power outputs, and defenses with precise timing. One wrong move could expose her presence to her people, but more importantly, it could cost human lives. Alex moved among his team, giving instructions, repairing systems and staying calm under fire. Lyra admired him more than ever. Every risk he took, every life he saved, every small act of bravery made her love him even more deeply. She realized that her feelings were no longer just admiration or longing. They were fierce, consuming, and undeniable. Finally, the pirates retreated, damaged and disorganized. Alex and his team successfully rescued the miners and returned to the outpost. The humans cheered quietly, tending to the injured, repairing their equipment, and sharing relieved smiles. Alex climbed down from his shuttle, exhausted but smiling faintly. He looked around, sensing something unusual in the air, a feeling of guidance and protection he could not explain. He did not know it was Lyra, hiding, risking everything, loving him silently. Lyra exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. She had guided him through danger, protected him from harm, and helped save lives. But she knew her actions could be discovered at any moment. Her people were vigilant, and interference with humans was forbidden. She had already broken the law once, but this time she had acted even more directly. The risk of punishment was high. The risk to Alex was high. And yet, she could not stop. Love had driven her to this point, and she would continue to act as long as she could, even if it meant breaking every rule she had ever followed. That night, Lyra reviewed the events. She noted every detail of Alex's movements, every decision, every reaction, every small act of courage. She recorded everything, not for her people, not for study, but for herself. She needed to remember him as he was, alive, brave, and kind. She needed to remember the bond that had grown between them, even if unspoken, unseen, and forbidden. She whispered softly to herself, "I am here, Alex, always." The words gave her strength even as fear lingered. She knew that discovery could come at any moment, but she also knew that she could not turn away. The next morning, Alex called a meeting with his team. He discussed the events of the previous day, trying to make sense of the strange guidance his shuttle had received. "I don't understand how the systems adjusted themselves so perfectly," he said. "But we made it. Everyone survived. That's what matters." His team nodded, smiling with relief. Alex's mind, however, kept returning to the strange feeling that had guided him. He could not explain it, could not name it, and yet he felt grateful. He felt that something, or someone, had been watching over them. Lyra watched him, heart aching. She wanted to reveal herself, to let him know the truth, but she could not. The laws of her people were strict, and the consequences of exposure were severe. And yet, she felt a new sense of determination. She had acted for love, and she would continue to act. She would find a way to protect him openly, to reveal herself safely when the time was right. For now she remained hidden, observing, recording, and loving him silently. Days that followed were tense. The humans repaired the outpost, strengthened defenses, and trained for future attacks. Lyra continued her silent guidance, subtly intervening in dangerous situations, helping Alex and his team survive. She grew bolder, more confident, but also more aware of the risks. Every adjustment, every subtle interference could be discovered by her people. She lived with constant fear, yet she could not stop. Her love demanded action. Her love demanded courage, and she had learned that courage could exist even in secrecy, even in silence, and even in forbidden love. One evening, as Alex walked through the corridors of the outpost checking systems, he paused. A strange feeling came over him, a sense that someone was watching him closely, carefully, and with affection. He looked around, noticing nothing unusual, yet the sensation remained. He frowned, curiosity and wonder mixing in his mind. Could it be intuition, luck, or something else? He did not know. He could not name it, but he felt drawn to the presence, even though he could not see it, even though he could not touch it. And somehow, he trusted it. Lyra watched him, her chest tightening with longing and fear. She wanted to step out, to speak, to reveal herself, but she knew the moment was not yet safe. Her people would punish her severely, and revealing herself could endanger Alex. She remained hidden, silent, and careful, watching him, loving him, and guiding him when necessary. She realized that her love was no longer just a feeling. It was a force, a choice, and a responsibility. She had chosen to act, to intervene, to protect, even in the face of danger. And she would continue to choose that path, no matter the cost. As night fell, Lyra returned to her observation deck. She stared at the stars beyond the station, thinking of Alex, thinking of the humans she had grown to admire and love. She whispered softly, "I will always protect you, Alex. I will always love you. Even if you cannot see me, even if the universe keeps us apart." The words gave her strength. She knew the days ahead would bring new challenges, new dangers, and new choices, but she also knew that she could face them. Love had given her courage, and courage would guide her actions. And one day, perhaps, Alex would know the truth, and their bond would finally be revealed. The morning was calm, but Lyra's mind was anything but calm. The previous days had tested her in ways she had never imagined. She had guided Alex through danger, saved lives, and risked everything for him. Now something had changed. Alex was beginning to notice, sensing a presence, feeling protection and guidance that he could not explain. Lyra knew that she could not hide forever. The law of her people forbade her from speaking to humans, yet her love demanded truth. Today she decided she could no longer remain invisible. Alex was working in the central hub, checking system repairs from the pirate attacks. He paused, noticing subtle adjustments in the controls, smooth responses that were impossible to explain. He frowned, looking around. "What is going on?" he muttered. The sensation of being watched and guided had grown stronger, almost like a shadow beside him. He felt drawn to it, curious and cautious at the same time. He did not know what it was, but he trusted it. Something told him that it meant no harm, that it was protecting him. Lyra watched him, heart pounding. The law had forbidden her to speak, but she could not stay silent any longer. She activated the communication link carefully, hiding it from all other systems, and sent a simple message directly to his console. "Alex, it is me. I am here. I have always been here." Her hands shook as she sent the words. She had no idea what his reaction would be. She had risked everything, and the next few moments could change her life, and his, forever. Alex froze. He stared at the message, unable to comprehend it. The words were simple, but their meaning was extraordinary. He read them again. "It is me. I am here. I have always been here." He could not understand how it was possible. Who could be sending this? How? His mind raced, but a strange feeling of calm and recognition filled him. Something deep inside him told him to trust whoever this was. He whispered softly, Who are you?" Lyra's heart leapt. She had expected fear, suspicion, maybe even anger. Instead, she sensed trust. She typed quickly, her fingers trembling. "I am Lyra. I watch over you. I have loved you from the beginning. I have guided you, protected you, always. Please trust me." She held her breath, waiting for his response, fearing rejection or disbelief. Alex's fingers hovered over his console. He had watched danger and survived impossible odds, guided by something he could not see. And now, finally, he knew. The feeling, the subtle interventions, the strange sense of protection. It was Lyra. He remembered her presence, the calm confidence he felt in moments of danger. Somehow, it had always been her. He whispered, almost to himself, "Lyra, it was you. All this time, it was you." A smile slowly spread across his face, a mixture of relief, awe, and something more. He could feel the bond now, invisible but undeniable. Lyra exhaled, tears forming in her eyes. She had revealed herself, and Alex had understood. She wanted to rush to him, to speak, to tell him everything, but she remained cautious. Her people could still punish her if they discovered her actions. She needed a plan, a way to be with him openly, safely. But for the first time, she felt hope. Hope that love could triumph, that courage could overcome fear, and that they could be together. Alex typed back carefully. I don't understand everything yet, but I trust you. I feel like I have known you, even though I never met you. Thank you for protecting us, for protecting me. Lyra's chest swelled with emotion. Her love, her courage, her risk, all of it had been worth this moment. She wanted to reach through the console and touch him, but she knew that one day she would. For now, words were enough. Over the next few days, Lyra and Alex continued to communicate secretly. They shared thoughts, emotions, and strategies, always careful to avoid detection by her people. The humans continued to repair the outpost, unaware that an alien loved one of their own in secret. Lyra guided Alex through minor dangers, giving him subtle warnings, and Alex trusted her completely. Their bond grew stronger, invisible to the world, but powerful beyond measure. One day a new threat appeared, an asteroid storm moving unpredictably toward the outpost. The humans panicked, unsure how to avoid the massive rocks that could destroy the station. Lyra knew this was the moment to act openly. She accessed the shuttle guidance systems and directly communicated with Alex, giving him clear instructions to navigate the storm. Alex, follow my guidance exactly. Trust me. You will make it, she typed. He read her words and nodded, though no one could see it. He followed her instructions carefully, weaving through the massive rocks with precision. As the storm raged around them, Alex felt the bond between them. He realized that Lyra's presence was more than just guidance. It was love, protection, and courage. He whispered softly, I trust you, Lyra. Always. And in that moment, something changed. He could feel her near him, not just through words, but in spirit. Her bravery, her love, and her care filled him with strength. Together, though separated by species and law, they moved through danger as one. The storm passed, leaving the outpost intact. The humans cheered, relieved, and unaware of the invisible force that had guided them. Alex stepped out of his shuttle, exhausted but smiling, and for the first time he looked at the observation deck where Lyra was hidden. He whispered, I want to meet you. I need to know who you are. Lyra's heart raced. The moment of truth had come. She had to reveal herself fully, to risk everything, but her love for him made the choice clear. Carefully, she activated the observation deck doors and stepped out into the open. Her heart pounded as Alex saw her for the first time. He froze, staring, unsure whether he could believe what he was seeing. Lyra stepped closer, her eyes locked on his. Alex, she said softly, it is me. I am Lyra. I have always loved you. I have always protected you. Please, trust me. Alex took a step forward, then another. His eyes were wide, filled with awe, disbelief, and something deeper. Lyra, I don't know what to say. All this time you were here? You saved me? You loved me? His voice was shaky but sincere. Lyra nodded, tears in her eyes. Yes, Alex. I could not speak before. My people forbid it. But now I can, and I have to tell you. He reached out slowly, hesitant, unsure if this was real. Lyra held out her hand. Their fingers brushed, and in that touch 1,000 unspoken words passed between them. Courage, love, hope, and trust filled the space between them. Alex whispered, I have felt you, even when I didn't know it was you. I, I love you too. Lyra, her heart leapt. All the fear, the risk, the law, the danger, it had all led to this moment. Their hands intertwined, and they stood together, looking at each other. Lyra knew that challenges remained. Her people might still punish her. The humans might not understand, but none of that mattered now. They had found each other, and their bond was stronger than any law or danger. Love, courage, and trust had brought them together, and nothing could break it. Over the following days, Lyra and Alex continued to strengthen their bond openly, though carefully. She taught him about her species, their technology, and their ways. He shared stories of humanity, of courage, kindness, and survival. Together, they planned ways to help both humans and aliens, bridging the gap between species. Their love became a symbol, though quiet, of hope, courage, and the power of caring for one another despite rules and fear. One evening, as they stood together watching the stars, Alex whispered, "We survived, Lyra. We made it through everything." Lyra smiled, resting her head against his shoulder. "Yes, Alex. Together we can face anything. Love gives us courage. Love gives us strength." He held her hand tightly, feeling her warmth, her heart, her presence. "And I will never let you go," he said. "Never." Lyra looked at him, tears shining in her eyes. "I will never leave you, Alex. No matter the law, no matter the danger. I am yours, and you are mine." In that quiet moment, the universe seemed to pause. The stars shone brighter, and the bond between them was unbreakable. They had faced danger, secrecy, and fear, and they had emerged stronger, united by love, courage, and trust. Their story, once hidden, was now written across the stars in subtle ways, in the bravery of humans, in the wisdom of aliens, in the quiet acts of care and protection that changed lives. Lyra and Alex knew that the universe could be dangerous and uncertain, but they also knew that together they could overcome anything. Love, they realized, was more powerful than fear, more powerful than law, and more powerful than distance. It had guided them, protected them, and finally brought them together. As the night stretched across the galaxy, Lyra and Alex stood hand in hand, looking at the stars. They were no longer separated by species, law, or fear. They were together, and their hearts were free. And in that freedom, they found hope, courage, and a love that could survive anything. The stars seemed to shine brighter for them, as if celebrating the impossible bond between a human and an alien, a bond forged in danger, strengthened in secrecy, and finally revealed in truth. Lyra whispered softly, "We are together now, Alex. Nothing can ever change that." Alex held her tightly, feeling the warmth, the love, and the trust they had built. Yes, Lyra, together, always. And in the quiet of the universe surrounded by stars, they began a new chapter, a chapter of love, courage, and unity that neither time nor space could ever undo.